Hi, good morning. Welcome to my Wednesday devotional. I hope you guys are doing well wherever you're at. You're enjoying your spring. For those of us here in the DC area, today happens to be very cold. We went from being warm to super cold today. That's why I got my long sleeves on and pants. I was looking forward to wearing my dresses again for church, but not today. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. All right, let's get started on Esther 8. We're actually on 3 and 4 today, but I'm going to backtrack and do 1 and 2 really fast. All right, so now we're on the part where we're going to start going forward. Remember, we had like the beginning setup stage, and then all the tough parts, the crux of the story, the most difficult part, and then now the after effects. So, a lot of the time people say, well, why does God make us go through, this whole story arc and, all this pain and da-da-da-da. Well, if you went straight to it, would you have learned anything? And wouldn't life be kind of boring? So, and maybe dull if you just got everything you wanted all the time, right? That's what I think. I don't know. I get bored easily, so I need to be challenged. So for me, it's like, okay, now it all makes sense to have to go through the process. So, all right, so now chapter 8 till the end, this is the downhill slide of this whole thing, the wrap up stuff, and the good things that are going to come from Esther's bravery, okay? All right, so Esther 8, verse 1 and 2, this is last week. So a decree went out to help the Jews. All right, so on that same day, King Xerxes gave the property of Haman, the enemy of the Jews, to Queen Esther. Then Mordecai was brought before the king, for Esther had told the king how they were related. So the king took off his signet ring, remember he does this, which he had taken back from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. And Esther appointed Mordecai to be in charge of Haman's property. What irony. Haman just hated Mordecai, and now Mordecai is not only getting the signet ring of the king, now Mordecai's the number 2 guy, but on top of that, Mordecai gets to take all of Haman's property, because, Haman's dead at this point, of course. So, how very interesting. Haman is probably just rolling over in his grave somewhere, freaking out. Then Mordecai got all his stuff. And his power and his job. So anyway, all right, this is this week, verses 3 and 4. So then, now we pivot back over to Esther. Okay, now remember, Esther has always been in control. She's always had grace and dignity. Remember, she went before the king in a very calm manner, because she had 3 days to fast, to supposedly pray. It's implied, and that just put her in control of herself, so she could be calm, to calmly go before the king. But now, this is all on the same day, same night or whatever. How does she react? Okay, then Esther went again before the king, falling down at his feet and begging him with tears to stop the evil plot devised by Haman the Agagite against the Jews. Verse 4. Again, the king held out the gold scepter to Esther, so she rose and stood before him. Now, this is interesting, and the reason why I underline it, because, she was so in control at the beginning of this story, or I guess the middle piece, where she was going to the king, and she was calm, she was in control. Now, it's all in the same night. I think she was probably just letting it all out, like most of us would do. This is kind of her human moment, where she's falling down, acting more like a typical woman, if I can be so bold as to say that, but I can't, because I'm a girl. More of the hysterical side of falling down, begging him, tears, okay? Now, you'll hear this on TV, I think somewhere I saw this, where some guy's like, I hate it when women are crying, because that does seem to be the trigger that gets men, like, very aggravated, and so they're just fine, whatever. So, luckily it worked for Esther. Again, he held out the gold scepter. Because if he doesn't hold out the gold scepter, she'd be dead. Because if you don't get the gold scepter, forget it. You ain't talking to the king. So, luckily, thank God, it ended out, she's all right, ended up being okay. So she rose and stood before him. So I'm assuming that she's gained her composure, because she must have had a moment of weakness there of just like, she hadn't been eating and all this other stuff. So it's like, oh my gosh. And so she just fell apart in that moment and had her tears, her human moment. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next. Because like I said, we're on the downside, looks like Mordecai is getting set up pretty well. What about Esther? All right, we shall see. So really, I want you to think this week of, now that we're past the hard part, have you ever had a difficult challenge and now you're on the other side of it? What's next? What do you do? Maybe that's part of her anxiety. Maybe that's why she was having a freak out there. Because maybe it was like, okay, wait a minute, now what? And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a plans person. So if I don't have a plan, I start getting kind of freaked out. Like, what's the plan? What are we doing? Where are we going? And you start anticipating all these things in the future. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What job am I going to, I'm definitely like that. I need a plan all the time. So, I can understand. Maybe that was her thought. I don't know. We shall see. All right. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate you guys for being here and, getting us through Esther. I hope to be done by summer. Actually, I was hoping that I could do some of this outside at the track, but I just found out that starting tomorrow, they're going to close down the track for construction. And the way things go around here, they say, it'll only be closed for 2 weeks, and end up being like 2 or 3 months. So hopefully I'll be able to get out soon because I like being outside doing the verses. So hoping, and of course it needs to warm up. Right now it's gloomy and very, very cold. So let's pray. I should say pray that it gets warmer and the track gets fixed so I can go back outside. All right. Thanks guys for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time.